Edgar TV. Yeah, it's still me. I've sold out slightly though. You'll see from the new studio. We're not just a bit of paper on the wall no more now. Look at that! Hey, look at that! That's what going up in the world looks like. However, you may be wondering what I'm doing here. Q School is on the horizon, and I'm going to talk through four key topics as we go into Q School. I believe I'm someone who can make a video like this. I've gone through Q School 3 times myself, and until last year, I had the most amount of wins at Q School, so I know what it takes to get through that event. It's not easy. We'll go through that as we go. Four topics I'm going to cover. We're going to look at what it takes to get through Q School. We're going to look at what it takes to stay on the tour after going through Q School. We're going to have a look at 10 players I think are ones to watch who I fancy to get through Q School and be on the tour next year. And also, our fourth topic is going to be looking at if I was in charge of Q School, what I would be doing differently. And it just so happens, look, there they are. Now, those that follow me, follow my stuff, follow my social media will know I am not a fan of averages. Averages don't tell you the game. They don't tell you the big moments. They don't tell you realistically the control you've had on a game. So don't think I'm putting averages out here as something that's it's a guide. I say averages are like BMI is to weight. It gives you a guide. It doesn't account for muscle mass and things. Look at BMI, you'll see what I mean. So what we'll do here, I'll show you two different legs. We've got a 13 dart leg and a 15 dart leg. Now, if I visit the board for a 13 darter or a 15 darter, it's going to take me 5 visits to the board, regardless. Which means on my throw, I'm restricting my opponent to 4 visits, and against the throw, my opponent's having 5 visits with both of these stats. But look at the massive difference between the two averages. But yet my opponents have the same visits to the board. That's a much more important stat to me than that. Okay, let's look at it in another way. So we'll look at it from a 16 data to an 18 data. Again, it's going to take me 6 visits to the board, regardless of how many I take it out in 16 or 18. But look at the difference in the averages. If I go out in 16 darts, actually, that's a very respectable average. And people will actually, yeah, it's very respectable. Put that in a world championship, yeah, happy days. That average, you're going to get a bit of blasting on social media. Trust me, I've thrown one of them on stage before. Now, look at the difference. But yet, I've still only had 6 visits to the board. And on my throw, I'm forcing my opponent to throw 100 average, whether I throw this or I throw that. Averages are a guide, so yeah, stick with me. Using averages as a guide and a guide only, we look at the European and the UK Q School from last year. We look at the bottom average, the top average, and the mean average. Now, I don't think the mean average is strong enough. I think the lower end of Q School is probably lower and pulls down that mean average. I think that should be a little bit higher. So what I do here is I'm taking the mean average of the top averages for the day. And then I think if you take 10% off of that, that's the line you want to be working on, which in this case works out to about 91. 91 average. Now, 91 average falls into that category that we spoke about, where we get so many visits to the board. Now, working on this and working on the amount of visits to the board, for you to be able to get through Q School, I think you need to be taking legs out in 6 visits to win the matches. Obviously, you're going to be able to have to spike at certain points because if we look at the stats and the averages that people are throwing, the performances and the level of players, there's some fantastic players going to Q School. You're going to have to spike that at some point. You're not going to get away with doing this every time. But if you do this across the 4 days and you don't get through Q School, I'll be very, very surprised. That's my prediction for what it takes to get through Q School. We're not here though to talk about how you get a card. What I'm here to talk about is this, the perception of Q School. Now what you'll see here is the black line. That is what I believe the perception of Q School is, based on social media and conversations I have with different people. That's what I believe people think Q School is. The red line, that is actually what Q School is, based on my personal experiences and based on a bit of research on stats. The blue line is what I think you need to do and where you need to be in order to get through Q School and be successful. 3 different lines. Now, I say the stats that back it up. Let's have a look at those. So we go back to that perception line again of what people think Q School is at that top level all the time. Okay, so we'll go back and we'll have a look at that. Now, when we look at 100 plus averages, they do happen. Barry Lynn lost, I think it was 5-2 or 5-3 on one of the Q School days with 102 average. It happens. It's very, very rare. 91 across the day, 6 visits, will get you through the majority of games. The perception of Q School is that's not enough. It needs to be 15 and down. The stats don't back it up, and my experiences also don't back up that logic. I picked a random day. I picked day 3 of UK Q School. Day 3 of UK Q School had 9 100 plus averages. 9 of all those games that went across the day. Now, if I pick a random part of the day, in fact, I'll take an educated part of the day. We'll take the last 32. The last 32 are into the tournament now. So we're actually into the tournament. We've probably played 3 or 4 matches. Everyone's happy. Everyone's warmed up. The games are coming thick and fast. The games are coming. You'll see here, actually, from the averages and from the stats, and they're a guide. They're a guide. From these stats, that shows that actually my theory of 6 visits or more is pretty much what these guys are doing. 6 visits or less. This is what these guys are doing. These guys are in the last 32. That's actually quite deep in the tournament by now. 6 visits or less, regular, with occasional spikes where you can drop in the 12 data when you need to. That's what it takes to get through Q School. If you can do that, get yourself to Q School, you could get yourself on the tour. And that literally is just looking at what you need to be doing to get yourself to Q School. My prediction, and we'll see if it pans out. And we'll see if people get along with that. Tomorrow, we release video 2. That is about when you get through Q School, what it takes to stay on the tour. And we're going to have a look at the class of 2018, the class I came from myself. We're going to have a look at what happened to those players and where we went, and also what it takes that once you've got your card to keep it. I think you'll be very, very surprised when you see these stats, because if you're looking to try and get through Q School and hope for an easy draw, you're not going to last too long, because these stats, I'm surprised when I saw them myself. It's going to be a good watch actually, that one. So video 2 tomorrow is about keeping the tour card, because you get 2 years when you get through Q School, and those 2 years, yeah, that's where the hard work starts. Edgar TV.
If you want to follow this Q School series, the easiest way to do so is hit the subscribe button and get notified as soon as the videos are released.